truly reflects exactly who I am, because everything about me is very pop culture, but at the same time I'd like to think that I'm pretty rooted, and I like a lot of facets of Indian culture and tradition. I've grown up with so much of that. Last week I hit 100 million views on my YouTube channel, and this has been over a span of 2.5 years. And I don't say this because of the content that I've been doing. I'm just saying this. It's the power of the audience.
Bhairavi? Beam Plasi.
Is Abby V dating anyone?
Are you?
And when you're so young, how do you know what path you're on? I mean, a 15-year-old kid, you don't know that you're going to end up becoming a Carnatic musician or a Hindustani musician or a hip-hop artist or an R&B. I mean, things change, your views change all the time. Kanne kale mane, kanne mailena kande nudenane. Tamil, Telugu, so trilingual. Tamil, Telugu, Hindi film.
Yeah.
With Janvi and me. But a really nice romantic comedy, huh? Nothing too crazy. Like, it shouldn't be like a brother-sister relationship or something like that. But at the same time, I don't think music should be restricted to the film world. Right. I think that's very wrong.
வணக்கம். 2 லைன் பாடுறதுக்கு 4 டேக் எடுக்கிற சிங்கர்ஸ் நடுவில் 73 ராகம் மூச்சு விடாமல் ஒரே டேக்கில் பாடியிருக்காரு ஒரு சிங்கர். நீங்கள் எல்லாம் பார்த்துருப்பீங்க. ஆபி வி, கனடாவில் இருக்கிற ஒரு சிங்கர். கர்நாடிக், ஹிந்துஸ்தானி, ஃபிலிம் மியூசிக்னு எல்லாத்தையும் கலந்து கொடுக்க ரொம்ப வெர்சடைல் சிங்கர். இன்றைக்கி இளைஞர்கள் நடுவில் ரொம்ப பாப்புலராக இருக்கிற சிங்கர். யூடியூப், இன்ஸ்டாகிராம்லாம் இவருடைய வீடியோஸை நீங்கள் பார்த்துருப்பீங்க. இன்றைக்கி ஆபி வி சென்னையில் இருக்கார், நம்மளோட பேச வந்திருக்காரு. அவர் கூட அவருடைய எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் எல்லாம் பற்றி நம்ம பேச போகிறோம். ஆபி வந்து தமிழை விட இங்கிலீஷ் இன்னும் சரளமாக இருக்கிறதுனால டுடேஸ் இன்ட்ராக்ஷன் இஸ் கோன் பி இன் இங்கிலீஷ், அண்ட் ஐ வில் ட்ரை அண்ட் சப்டைட்டில் சம் ஆஃப் வாட் வி ஸ்பீக். தமிழில் சப்டைட்டில் போட பார்க்குறேன். So, but let's meet Abhi now. Hi, Abhi.
Priyaji, that is one of the finest introductions anyone's ever given me. But one clarification, Tamil romma nalla pesuvena. The only reason I want to speak in English is because a lot of my followers and my audience some might know Tamil, some might not know Tamil. That's why.
So nice to meet you, and thank you so much for taking time out amidst your busy schedule to come and see us here.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I've seen so much of your content before and happy to be here.
Okay, great. So let's just begin with, what made you super popular. The 73 Raga video that you made that went viral all over the world. Whose idea was it?
So actually, this idea came up when I was actually in Chennai. I was here on a vacation right before the pandemic, so 2019, towards the end of that year. In Hollywood, there's this very popular series that Vogue runs called 73 Questions, where they sort of just go and interview celebrities, and they go to their homes and they'll just follow them around, ask various questions like, what did you have for breakfast? What's your favorite color? And stuff like that. So I've been, I really wanted to get into the whole social media space, and I was very unsure about how to come into making content and making YouTube videos and stuff like that. Just one day I just thought, I love the concept of just switching ragas. And when I was learning music as well, I used to keep telling my dad that let's have this game where you give me a raga and I'll sing it, and then you switch it over and then I'll sing another raga. I'm very fascinated with the concept of ragas. So I thought, might as well just do something like this, which I've been playing my whole life. And I'll just get someone to just read out some ragas for me, and I'll sing it and we'll make it. And I wanted to sort of amalgamate classical, traditional, an art form like this, like classical music, Hindustani and Carnatic, but at the same time present it in a way that I think it truly reflects exactly who I am, because everything about me is very pop culture, but at the same time I'd like to think that I'm pretty rooted, and I like a lot of facets of Indian culture and tradition. I've grown up with so much of that. So I think this was sort of like the perfect way to sort of bring those two worlds together. I decided to call up a friend of mine. His name is Karandeep, and he's a wonderful cinematographer. You might have seen his name in my video credits.
Yeah.
He's a guy who shoots all of my videos. He's one of my best friends, and this guy. So I just told him. I said, Bhai, I have this idea, and until that point, I had never released any major song or video, and so many people were saying, I used to learn so much music, and I was so into music. I was performing, but people used to say, there's no content of yours online. And you have every singer posting something on YouTube all the time. And I was so shy. I was so insecure about those things. It took so much out of me. I was so anxious about posting. And Karan actually, he said, what, bhai, क्या idea आपका? Such a great idea, and let's do it. मैं लेके आता हूँ एक दिन camera. We'll just shoot it. अच्छे से करेंगे एक दिन. So I said, हाँ करते हैं फिर. We shot the video in one. It was completely live. A lot of people think that it's been joined together or it's been pre-recorded or dubbed later or something. But none of that. I had a mic just like this. I had a mic, a lav mic, and I shot it around the house, and we just did a complete take around 11 in the morning. We released it 2 weeks later. Wow. And I was just so happy because I had no promotion, no strategy in place for releasing that video. It was just completely very organic. I felt I had that conviction for it. Now when I release something, I'll look at I have so many metrics to follow, because I'm experienced now. So I'll be like, okay, Friday at this time works for me, and if this is this if it's in Tamil, I'll release it, on this day. If it's in Hindi, I'll release it at this time. I have all these things. At that time, zero experience. But I just released it, and that goes to show that, there's always an audience for something that's very genuine. And for good content, I think there's always an audience. Whether you promote it, whether you put money in it, whether, you have something backing it up, none of that mattered, whether you have followers or no. I had 0 YouTube subscribers when I released that video. I just hit, last week I hit 100 million views on my YouTube channel. And this has been over a span of 2.5 years. And I don't say this because of the content that I've been doing. I'm just saying this, it's the power of the audience. And I just released that video. The next morning I wake up and it's at about 20,000 views or something. And that was strange for me because I had no followers, and all of a sudden videos blowing up. The next day I see 2 days later it's at 100,000, and then it's going up, and then WhatsApp people are sharing it, and then there's so many people calling from the industry. They're saying, who's Abhi and all that stuff. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's absolutely incredible. And that really gave me this sort of momentum to just keep going. And I said, before that I had come to Mumbai and Chennai, and I tried to meet some people. I wanted to sing, collaborate with artists. But of course, you don't get that kind of a response every time because you're such a new artist and all that stuff, and everyone is busy. But that's when I just knew that, when you have something to show for yourself and you have that dedication and that perseverance, and a good idea always wins.
Wonderful.
Very long answer to your question, but that's how the idea came with.
Very nice. And how much of practice went into making that before?
That video? To be honest, not much, because that practice was part of my growing up, my teen years.
So it was really impromptu, whatever came?
Completely. Wow. In fact, I had a list of 250 ragas or something, and I just gave it to them. And I said, just read out these ragas. So I made a part 2 of that video also. I don't know if you've seen. Yes. So the other ragas that we didn't use in the first part, we used in the second part. So there's no practice that went into it.
Wow.
There's no rehearsal.
Can we try something again like that? Can I
right
throw
now?
some raga names at you?
Sure. Let's go for it.
Okay. So let's start with my favorite raga, Vrindavana Saranga.
Sure. That's one of my favorites as well. Mavane pare mapare nizare mare nisani mapani nisa. One of my favorite songs, which is one of the most loved videos on my YouTube channel, is Ponnondru Kanden. Sing a few lines of that?
Yes, sure.
Ponnondru Kanden Pennangile Yenendru naan sollalaguma. You know that? Wow.
Your pitch is too high for me. Okay, Behag.
Pamagamaga rizani samaga pamagama panida sani pamaga.
Bhairavi.
Tadana narana narina.
Beam Plasi.
Gama pani. Pani zagari zani damagari zani sagari zani damapada gama pani sa.
Bhopal Todi.
Sari ga pada pare gare ga pada pada gare sada pa sa.
Bhageshri.
Ga madani da Dhani saga ma gari sani sari neda ma paraga madani sa
Bahudari.
gama padani sa padani pama gama ga ni saga pama. One of my favorite ragas is Bahudari.
And the ever popular Bilahari.
Gapada magari gapada sani panida magari gapada kari sani dapada sani panida magari.
Awesome.
Love this raga. All of these are favorite ragas of mine, huh?
Really?
All of them.
This Bhupal Todi that you did, could you explain about that raga? It's a very, it's not a very popular raga.
Yeah, Bhopal Todi actually is a sounds almost like Todi, you know. Todi in the Hindustani, which is Shubha Panturali in Carnatic. It's a 5-note raga. Sa re ga pa dha pa re ga pa da ga re pa da sa re ga pa re pa ga re sa pa re sa da pa ga da pa re ga re. It's a very nice morning raga. And a lot of, so Hindustani classical music of course has a lot of ragas that are classified as morning ragas and afternoon ragas and evening ragas. So this one is a very popular a morning raga. And of course in Carnatic music also there is Bhupalam, which is, you can say the same scale.
Morning raga.
So we have Sada Chaleshwaram Bhavayeham. Very popular Dikshidhar Kriti, this raga.
Awesome. Okay, that was fantastic. So actually, everybody wants to know a lot more about you. Because I mean, we see you performing on all your social channels.
Yeah.
We don't know who is Abby. But instead of me asking the question, why don't we see what people are asking about you on Google?
The first question, I knew this is coming, and you're lining this up as the first question. Is Abby V dating anyone?
Are you?
Nope, I am very much single. So all of you who are single, DM me. The thing is, a lot of people ask me, and then now they've started asking my parents. Is he dating anyone, and is he in a relationship? And then I also get the questions saying, is he married? So I'm definitely not married, and I'm definitely single. So yes. Where is Abby V from? I am from Toronto. I grew up in Canada, in Toronto, but yeah, I keep visiting India quite a bit. So I'm mostly in India these days. Does Abby V have a twin brother? Yes, his name is Abby B, and he is based in Vancouver. Who is Abby V's dad? Abby V's dad is a brilliant singer. His name is Venky V, and he is the reason why Abby V sings. He has taught me music. He's never learned music himself, my dad, but he's one of the most dynamic, versatile singers I've ever heard. He has this incredible passion for singing and for composing and performing. So he's a very, very complete musician. He's entirely the reason why I sing, because he's had that influence in my life, and he sort of guided me in that sense. I've always wanted to follow everything that he does, and the fact that he sings so well, I'm eternally inspired by his music. So I just want to follow everything that he does. So he's the hero of my life. What is Abby V's mother tongue? Abby V's mother tongue is Tamil. But we speak a mix of Tamil, English and Hindi at home. My family is actually from Delhi. So before Toronto, we were actually my parents were in Delhi. So I speak very fluent Hindi, Tamil and English. Korachchu Malayalam ariyam. A little bit. Who is Abby V's music guru? Everyone knows this. My gurus are the extremely profound and the most incredible musicians you'll find on this planet. Srimati Raji Gopalakrishnan, Srimati Ranjini, Srimati Gayatri, known as Ranjini Gayatri sisters. You've also interacted with them quite a bit. So I'm extremely fortunate to have had their guidance. There you go. I think those are the most... I know there are a couple of other questions also, but I'm glad that you kept those out.
So, having grown up in the West, I'm sure there was a lot of influence of Western pop, hip-hop, rap, all kinds of music.
Yeah.
How much of that did you incorporate into your music on a regular basis, or was it a conscious choice to stay away and keep your music very Indian?
Oh no, I'm completely like, I mean, my good friend Benny Dayal, he keeps telling me that, you sing classical music, but the way that you move your hands, it almost seems like you're a hip hop artist. That's so true because I analyze it myself. The way that if you notice, like the way that I sing Sargam, so my hand actions and all stuff, I'm so inspired by some of the hip hop artists and R&B artists and stuff like that. I don't think any listening exposure to any music or love for any music or any style of art form for that matter, it never harms an artist. It only embellishes. And I've learned this from my gurus. My gurus say this. And when you're so young, how do you know what path you're on? I mean, a 15-year-old kid, you don't know that you're going to end up becoming a Carnatic musician or a Hindustani musician or a hip hop artist or an R&B. I mean, things change. Your views change all the time. My views change. I wanted to be an R&B artist for the longest time.
Okay.
I was a huge fan of Chris Brown and Usher and Justin Timberlake and all these other are like I grew up with this music. This was my main. It still is my main consumption of music. Is actually a lot of the pop music, top 40 and all that stuff. So I'm heavily inspired, as you can tell from the way that I dress and my.
So you're all about breaking stereotypes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not consciously. I don't want to be like this.
Yeah, make a statement out of it or anything.
But that's who I am, and I don't think I can change that at all. But take any musician. I think every musician you talk to, any of the greats, they always have things to praise about other forms of music. Also, they'll never be like. Like I don't think a lot of people have that kind of a view.
Well, I won't call it criticism, but a comment that people make is that. Especially now that the younger generation of artists, singers, you do a lot of work on social media. I mean, your content is created for social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
So some people say that kind of hampers your creativity in the sense that you start pandering to what the audience demands. Like you said yourself that, earlier it was just you created the music and presented it. Now you are conscious about should I post it on a Friday at 8 p.m., those kind of things. So how much of that do you think matters?
Honestly, I think it's all part of the game. I think it's all essential, and I have there's no negativity attached to any of those things and I don't think one should have any sort of negative feelings when it comes to anything that a profession demands. This is my profession. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that there's the goal that I need, the goal that I have in my mind is being achieved. Because and the same goes for anything. For instance, if you go to a classical concert, you have an artist singing. They'll sing their favorite ragas, but also sometimes they'll sing a song or a raga that they might not resonate with as much, but they know that the audience resonates. They might be coming in for that one tukda piece, and they might not be feeling it that day. But then what the artist delivers, because there's a sense of responsibility and all that stuff, and that comes as part of the profession. Any profession, there's always things that you are completely in, and there are some things that you feel like, okay, I'm going to do it because there's so much other reward that I'm getting as part of this profession. I remember recently I was at a lectum and they were talking about how initially when recording discs came up, artists had to sort of, instead of doing a khayal for 40 minutes or Drupad rendition for an hour or so, you condense it down to the disc space, which is about 3.5 minutes or whatever that space was.
Test match versus T20 kind of a
argument, right? Exactly, yeah. So I mean, every generation will go through. So right now it's the age of social media, and we'll also package this art form to also be suitable, palatable on that platform. I think that's very important.
Right.
Because if it's not relevant on social media, then you're missing out on that huge. I get messages every single day saying, thanks Abby, thanks to creators like you, my daughter or my son, who's about 8 years old or whatever, they're so interested in classical music and they loved your, the fact that you were able to sing Nalina Kanti somewhere, and they thought, this raga is really cool, so they wanted to learn a song, and that sort of inspired them. I'm not the only one who's doing this. So many other, my gurus are the greatest examples of this. They've instilled this sort of interest in classical music in so many beautiful ways.
We see you coming up with new releases almost every week on social media.
Yes.
But what else is coming up? I mean, are you working on an album, on a big show? What's happening? What's coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you asked that because I have a very, very exciting album coming up, which is going to be my sort of like a debut Abby album. Ever since this whole social media, this family that I've that's come to me through social media. So this is actually a very interesting album that I have coming out. It's an album of, I do a lot of collaborations even on my social media. So this album is actually going to feature a lot of different artists with me as well. We have some extremely exciting songs and music videos coming out.
What kind of music is on it?
This is the kind of music that I have been singing. So it's, you know, it's all original music, and the kind of stuff that I believe in terms of, like, you know, different worlds coming together. So rooted music like classical or folk music, and slight ghazal influence or qawwali and stuff like that. But at the same time, you know, the production of it will be a little bit more Western, you know, which is also the world of music that I grew up with. So electronic music and hip hop and all that stuff. There's a lot of influence of that as well. So a couple of really, really exciting originals coming up very soon. Kanne kalemane kanne mailena kandenu denane. Tamil, Telugu, so trilingual. Tamil, Telugu, Hindi film.
Yeah,
With
true.
Janvi and me. But a really nice romantic comedy, huh? Nothing too crazy. Like, it shouldn't be like a brother-sister relationship or something like that. But at the same time, I don't think music should be restricted to the film world. I think that's very wrong. How do I come into this? I think my music, the fact that my music has been so beautifully accepted on social media is testament to the fact that audiences are really opening up to different kinds of music. That should be the tagline of my Instagram bio should be that. Abby is a mix of ravioli and pani puri. But அங்க எண்டில் வந்து நீங்கள் அந்த மாதிரி சங்கதி போட முடியாது. ஆனால் ரொம்ப அழகாக இருக்குது சார் ஆக்சுவலி அந்த சங்கதி. ஐ விஷ் பட் டிரெக்டர் அலோவ் பண்ணதில்ல. ஆதாரமாய் நீயே நெஞ்சோடு நீங்காய் நின்றாயடி.
தமிழ் திரை இசை சார்ந்த பல சுவாரஸ்யமான தகவல்களுக்கு தமிழ் நாஸ்டால்ஜியா யூடியூப் சேனலுக்கு சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்க, பெல் பட்டனை அழுத்துங்க.